presentation. I believe both Matt and Russell are going to help us with this one. And I know you guys presented recently. So the floor is yours.
Well, for you guys to know, I'm the super collections foreman, manage the collection staff and the general crews throughout the city. I also help manage some of these projects as we take them on. Look and see what it looks like. We go over.
No, that's not it.
Sorry,
No, you're right. The one that is in the middle.
my bad. Green Hill? Yes.
There you go.
Thank you, sorry.
Can you give a little history, Russell? I know you guys presented on this previously.
Yeah, so I guess a little backstory. This is something that we presented on a national conference that we attended, myself, Matt, and Larry, for the National No Dig Show. It's a show entirely about trench technologies, whether it's water mains, sewer mains, gas mains. Where in the world can you actually do construction without actually putting the shovel in the ground and putting pipe in place? So just here to share that same kind of story with you. Some of the bits and pieces that we pulled out accordingly. I don't think you guys need to hear some of the history nor I think most of you know, but our agenda was just a little bit about the Greenville neighborhood, how this is going to be a multi-phase program, some of the funding and lessons learned. Again, just a quick overview of NPU. As you're aware, 40,000 people. Our sewer plant was constructed in the 1930s, then updated in the 1950s, and then again in the 1970s. Whereas our collection system dates back to 1880s. Our collection system, which much of it is still used today, at one point was a direct flow to the Chicago River, which then flowed to the Thames River, and then out to Long Island Sound. So sometimes people are a little confused by that our collection system is older than our plant, but it wasn't until the 1930s they put interceptors along the river, collect all the sludge and sewer and waste, convey all that to the sewer plant. Because of the sewer system in the 1980s, we are still a CSO community. Sounds like you guys are pretty aware of CSO and SSOs and I&I and sewer world, so I won't give you more breakdown of that. But again, if you look at the progression, 1930s sewer plant, 1950s sewer plant, 1970s sewer plant upgrade, and then now we're finally getting to our upgrade now. So you kind of see that progression should be every 20 to 30 years. In our case, that was not, we're just unfortunately going to an upgrade now. You can see that in the head, sorry. Greenville is one of the oldest infrastructure in southeastern Connecticut. It's a mill town region that served several industries up and down the Chicago River. Between 1880s and the 1930s, most of NPU's collection lines in the Greenville area were used, are still being used today. And a lot of them are now major trunk lines getting further out to Ockham and further north throughout the city. Due to a lack of industry and other factors, Greenville is considered a disadvantaged community. Basically, there are low, medium income households, high poverty rates, unemployment rates. Last projection was anywhere between 30% are considered low income. Due to this, and with the help of Connecticut Deep, EPA, we've been able to secure some funding for this particular area of town to go after projects similar to these that I'm going to be discussing. Because Greenville is one of the oldest sections of town, 7 of the 11 CSOs are still currently held in Greenville. These CSOs are just relief points from the sewer when it gets inundated. That it basically flows rainwater, stormwater, and sewage to the river. Unfortunately, a lot of the pipes in the Greenville section were not cleaned or maintained due to fear of further damaging the lines, unsure of where the lines went or what the real condition was. And that was kind of a bit of a concern for the last 2 to 4 decades with the Greenville section of town. So we knew there were issues in Greenville. We knew they had to be addressed. And unfortunately, those issues lead to SSOs, they lead to pipe collapses, and they both lead to backups of both homeowners and businesses. Unfortunately,
That was a fancy word for sanitary sewer overflow, which is a fancy word for broken pipe.
sorry, apologies, yeah. Sanitary sewer overflow is basically an overflow that occurs in the sewer line, whether it's from a collapse, grease blockage, rag blockage. In the state, in Connecticut's eyes, SSOs are considered flows that are happening in your collection system that shouldn't be happening, not because due to other factors like rain. Unfortunately, some of the past leadership philosophy was that, hey, we're gonna fix it as it breaks. And our community just cannot afford it, so we're gonna have to go with that mentality. Thanks to being able to attend conferences like NASTT and WEF, we've learned that there's many case studies that prove that that philosophy does not work. In fact, that philosophy ended up costing significantly more in the long run. So with all this and a consent order in 2019, we decided to have a shift in our mentality of management to be a more proactive approach with fixing our pipes and to seek federal and state funding in order to get some of these projects out the door, similar to what we discussed. First one is phase one, which happened in 21, 22. And again, the idea of this project was we were going to try to clean and TV inspect roughly 12,000 linear feet of sewer pipe. We were really looking for the most bang for our buck. Where can we get the most amount of pipe in the ground? Where can we get the most lines cleaned? And how can we mitigate some of the risks that we incur on a daily with whether it be a road collapse or potentially an SSO. Next slide. So this is some of the flow data. The line, the minimum is considered dry weather flow. The maximum is considered wet weather flow during rainstorms and whatnot. We really needed a baseline for the flows entering the 36 interceptor up and down the Kentucky River. This is basically a data set point that we could use as a metric to prove to you as the board, Connecticut EPA, about the progress that we're making in the area that we're actually doing these projects. Just quickly, when we were installing the meters, I thought they were kind of interesting. The picture on the bottom right is actually a picture where we're going to install the meter, but the pipe was so far collapsed that nothing was able to flow out because, as you can see, there's a ton of pipe passing through. And then there's another meter that we had to move on the upper picture. Basically, the flow data wasn't representative of what we believed we should see. And come to find out, there was a relief point entering another backway in the sewer. So the upper small area here, you can see another relief pipe. As the level would flow over, it would go over there. So it actually took some of the flow. So we had to unfortunately move that. Next slide. So based on, please. Based on some of the CCTV work that we're going to do, we weren't quite able to do the full 12,000 linear feet that we expected to. We were a little short of that. Unfortunately, just due to some of the conditions. I attached a bunch of pictures to show you guys the condition of the pipes that we're dealing with. These look, I mean, apparently big holes in the pipe, but the picture of the bottom right of the tractor, that tractor is approximately 36 inches in length and anywhere from 10 to 12 inches wide. And that hole that it fell into almost entirely is taking up that camera. So that's a bit of a concern when you're going to line pipes. Unfortunately, pipes that large of a hole, unfortunately, are not able to be repaired. So they require spot repairs.
The good news is we're getting that camera out this summer, so it's a $60,000 camera for us.
Yes.
Fine escapers.
That's a hole in the bottom. There's no bottom to it.
No, yeah, exactly. So because of this limited some of our work that we were able to do. Next slide. We're able to do CIPP line basically half of what we inspected. Not that we were planning on lining at all, but you have to make sure you inspect a large enough area to make sure you still cover the amount of lines.
Can you explain how this works? Also, for those maybe may not have seen, how they pull the liner in and they carry it and all that. It's really neat when you see them do this.
I wish I could video. The easiest way to explain it is it's really a sock. They basically take a sock, they impregnate with a resin, they stick it in the line, and as you take a sock, I guess on your arm, as you push the air through it, it actually pushes it and it rolls into place. So the out, I guess the end of the sock, without hold the air, comes out of a manhole. At that point, they go down and cut it off, and that now becomes your hose pipe.
These steam to cure it, right? It's
Steam, water, some of them are UV. In this particular project, we did steam. It's just a more sure thing that NPU is comfortable with and our engineers are comfortable with for curing purposes. Again, CIPP is considered cured in place pipes. So they are structural pipes. They're just as strong as any PVC that you're going to put in the ground. Maybe not as strong as ductile iron, but they are without a doubt the way that we're going into the future. Next slide, please. So again, we were able to, back to the slide, we were talking about doing 6,000 linear feet of pipe. We decided to defer all the excavation spot repairs to a future contract. As any project, there's no change order. Unfortunately, Norwich has, I guess sometimes a unicorn. We have these things called lamp poles. Lamp poles are access points where you can see the sewer passing by, but you actually can't service the sewer. Unfortunately, a lot of these weren't picked up on the original CCTV work that we did when we stepped the camera down because they just assumed, oh, it's a manhole. Well, then when you actually uncover it, you can see in this lower corner picture, you didn't actually have a 4 to 5 foot manhole to climb down into to work on the line if you only had a 6 to 8 inch pipe. So unfortunately, that led to a $22,000 change order where we were able to install a couple manholes, uncover them, install manholes so the guys and the contractors could come out and actually push the line through. The benefit is we now have one less piece of infrastructure that was old. Doesn't sound critical, but sometimes installing a manhole or two is a good benefit because it's one less thing to collapse in the future. Next slide, please. That leads us into phase 2. That happened around 22 to 24. The goals of this phase was we really wanted to take care of all the spot repairs that we had throughout the city that weren't able to get done in the first phase. This year we could prep for potentially a phase 3, whether or not we fix the spots and then shoot a liner through or fix the spots and maybe that section of pipe was good. The other part of that contract, and it's a little out of order and I apologize, the other part of that contract was we also wanted to clean and inspect the main line going down North Main, basically from 8th Street all the way down here to the bottom of Roth Street. Those are our major trunk lines. They're 24 to 36 inch brick sewer lines. Had little to no information on what the condition of those lines were, but we know they're in a state road. We know they're about 16 feet deep. So doing any kind of repair for them is next to impossible. So part of this contract is we're going to fix the spot repairs. We're going to clean in CCTV and inspect the sewer brick. If there's remaining monies left over at the end of the project, maybe we look at doing some CIPB lining. That was not the case. Between the spot repairs and the cleaning and inspecting, that took up all of the budget, a lot of it. Next slide. So I'll jump to the second part of this where we cleaned in CCTV the 24 to 36 inch line. These are pictures, kind of tough to see, but this is a preliminary picture prior to cleaning it. We found that most of these pipes were 50 to 60% full of sediment and debris from 100 years of being in service and not being cleaned. Unfortunately, the equipment that the contractors come in to clean these lines, we have a sewer jet that can clean sewer lines, but our sewer jet is not to the caliber of some of these other sewer jets and equipment that they come in and clean with. So unfortunately, we had them come in, or I should say fortunately, we had them come in, they were able to clean them, and come and find out most of the pipes were in great shape. There was a lot of grout missing, a couple bricks here and there, but they stated at the end of the inspection that they were great candidates to be able to be lined. So we're looking, which that led us to potentially the next phase. Next slide. And here's a couple pictures of the spot repairs. There were 6 spot repairs in total. A couple of them required us to actually divert and move a sewer line on 12th Street to the opposite side of the road, just for a better alignment and to get it away from the gas and water. Unfortunately, majority of these sewer lines were installed way before water and gas, but over the years, decision that was made for before and most of us were alive was to put water and gas lines on top. Makes it for a very difficult, costly repair and replace the sewer line underneath the gas and water line, especially if they're cast iron and potential breaking, falling, making the necessary repairs. And that brings, and one last piece. So I talked about some of the flow monitoring that we did. We wanted to prove that what we're doing in our phase is multi-phase, a multi-phase approach in the Greenville section was not only cost effective, but it was going to be better for the environment. Here's some of the statistics. So we're 7% less total CSO volume overall from pre and post. That goes back to 2019. We are 25% fewer CSO events. And the most important that I hang my hat on is we're having 46% shorter CSO duration. So basically, we're buying capacity in our sewer system. That our hope would be that maybe our wet weather chain doesn't need to be as long because we have the capacity in our current sewage system to take the amount of flow that we would see during a rain event. So
This is
again,
helpful for regionalization too, right? Because when we go back and talk about the cost of the treatment plant, this enables us to take, and it was designed as such, to take flows from outside the community, which will create additional revenue streams and hopefully recover some of that. Go down a couple.
and we're gonna readjust this. This came out of our long-term control plan, but we plan on when we eventually get out of Greenville and we move to different part of the city, whether it's Laurel or whatnot, pulling the same activity, just so we can really show the good that we're doing by attacking these projects. Going after the money is to get this real life. So with that, I will turn it over to Matt. He will discuss phase 3.
A big portion of this work, I think the 1.8 so far, another 960,000 coming, are from earmarks from Murphy Blumenthal. Blumenthal's office has indicated a strong interest in coming down and having a field visit this summer. We want to make sure that Larry and his company are up and mobilized and get everything under control before we invite them down. But it's a nice media event. It's an opportunity for him to see firsthand what his advocacy is doing for us in the community. And, you know, we want to keep the relationship going that we have. He's already put in for another $900,000 for relocating the sewer main down to Howard Brown Park. So being able to bring him and his staff up here to see it firsthand, I think is another opportunity for us to, you know, show the important work that's going on.
Yeah, 'cause that money he gave us, that brick main that goes down North Main, the 36, the last break we had 2.5 years ago was $1,000 outside contractors. So we, you know, all going on equipment. That's why it's critical to getting that stuff. Great. And the CIPP liner that pipe is good for 7 years.
Dollars from outside the community. That's not tax-based or rate-based. That's critical. And they alluded, Chris alluded to the fact that we're looking for more money for Howard Brown Park. So as part of the community investment fund and then potentially the congressionally directed spending, I get the phrase right there. We could have new pipe from Rose Valley all the way to the plant. Because as part of the plant project, we're also looking at replacing the section on the marina property underneath Route 82 that has been, I've personally been to at least 3 breaks down there. The portion of the river has been lined, so that's good, but we can have new pipe from Rose Valley to the plant. Means we don't have to go downtown for a sewer break ever again. So that's huge. All right. Now we're going on to wastewater treatment plant update. Oh, phase 3, I'm sorry.
Phase 3, I guess, just quickly, it's very analogous. It picks up all the port repairs from phase 2 and the pipes and infinity lines. A little over 2 miles of pipe. We're also incorporating animal rehabilitation as part of this work. So all of the large diameter sewers in North Main Street are being addressed under the third phase, and as part of that will be reconstructing some of those smaller lamp holes Russ spoke about, and also taking care of the manholes, which face a lot of stormwater flow in the area. Next slide, Simone. I don't have to spend time on this. This is just an array of some of the findings from pipeline investigation from phase 3. But again, a lot of the, same phenomenon we saw in phases 1 and 2. Kind of hodgepodge with material and sewers from port repairs implemented over years, decades, missing pipe walls, missing pipe inverts, buried lamp holes, not, eliminating access or concealing access to the sewers, infiltration from groundwater, which again is consuming capacity for wastewater treatment, and, other defects that contribute to, poor structural condition, and also letting water into the pipes that we really don't want in the pipes. Next slide, Simone. So we also inspected, over 70 manholes as part of the third phase. So this is new part of the Greenville program, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this either, except to say that in some cases we have discovered, or at least in 2 instances, water mains installed to our sewer manhole. And I think we can all guess which was installed first and which came second. But we are either, rerouting water mains out of sewer manholes to eliminate those instances, or in some cases the water main has since been abandoned, but was never removed from the sewer system. Next. Actually, you can skip this slide too, Simone. We'll just go to the schedule. So the phase 3 was investigated, designed largely through 2025, early 2026. We bid the project this spring, earlier this month. Awarded the project to In Situ Form. They lined one of our force mains actually in 2025. So we have worked with them before. We had a pre-construction meeting with them last week, and they'll be mobilizing after the July 4th holiday and completing the phase 3 construction before the end of the year. And then one more slide of Greenville, Simone, just some of the earmarks that Chris spoke to. So phase 3 is the first of 2 earmarks administered as an EPA community grant. So there's basically a 80% grant dollars from federal EPA and 20% local share from NPU. That is funding phase 3 at a value of actually around 1.4 million. And coincidentally, I guess contrary to the statistic Bretton cited with the 10% kind of annual inflation on construction costs, we actually have a surplus of a few $100,000 on phase 3, and we're looking to actually ask the contractor to do additional work on the base contract to take advantage of that 80% grant. Phase 4 is the second of 2 congressionally directed spending awards through earmark. We're currently scoping that project in terms of work plan and some environmental work we need to do through EPA before designing and constructing that project. And then NPU a couple of years ago had actually applied for a separate pot of money through the Connecticut Deep Clean Water Fund, the same source funding the wastewater plant. That is a significant dollar value of 4.8 in both engineering and construction costs, and that phase will come as we kind of get our breath and also have a chance to assess the outcomes of phases 3 and 4.
And we should be out of agreement with that one time. We should all be granted for the next generation.
I think that's it for Greenville. I don't know if you have any questions for Russ or myself.
One more thing to add, we didn't have it on the slide when we did the presentation, but as you guys probably have approved, some of the gas expansion work really saved a lot of dollars going up and down North Main Street. The state paving, doing this project prior to the final pavement restorations. That was able to save several $100,000 the sewer division. That pavement can be covered under the gas. Which again is just a testament to the hard work of our employees here to kind of work together to make sure we get the most bang for the buck.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, since you're up, wastewater plant.
Yeah.
Received honorable mention several times today already. And I don't know if you guys saw the GM update I just sent out, but we're, Kathy Austin's coming down on the 17th. She's gonna walk the plant and, get a chance to see it. And she brought up to me about the potential for additional funding, so. Hopefully. Go ahead.
Okay, the wastewater plant, so again, this is the plant that, treats all the wastewater collection system is collecting and conveying, and hopefully, soon that'll be less and less stormwater in the flow. I know our NPU crew had a drone out, last Thursday before, the Friday holiday, so this is from, only a few days ago, looking, south toward the marina, kind of in the foreground. You can see majority of active construction in terms of admin lab, headworks, conversion of chlorine to UV disinfection, and our new effluent pump station. And then I think we just had a shot looking the other direction, looking northeast toward again to the left, the far left of the first of two aeration tanks, still under conversion for nitrogen removal. To the right toward the Atlantic River, two new clarifiers and secondary sludge pump station that we had commissioned last November. And then looking very much north, you can actually see the landfill cap progressing south. So I think we're about 2/3 complete at this point. I think the contractor had their first mow last week. And then, the Nickerson is very rapidly losing lay down material storage area, but unfortunately with the digester complex gone, a lot of that area has migrated to the other end of the plant. Next slide, Simone. Jerry's favorite, we're actually, this is a great testament to NPU line department crews. NPU line department is currently head of Nickerson on the second circuit to the plant. I'd say our NPU folks are sort of on hold, ready for the contractor to continue installing duct bank, but this is going to be significant activity later this summer, energizing 2 new utility circuits at the plant, a new main switch gear that's going to distribute power to the whole campus. Next slide. Last fall, we commissioned the first of 2 primary assembly tanks. The first one is sort of in the background of this shot. Then had a 6-month inspection with the manufacturer contractor in May, and subsequent to some recommendations from them, we turned over the second tank to Nickerson for conversion to our new chain of flight system, the same equipment that went in tank 1. That work is progressing rapidly. Nickerson expects we'll be starting up and commissioning this tank in August this summer, and that will really complete our primary treatment upgrades at the plant. Next slide. Aeration tank 2 is further along in construction. A lot of the air distribution piping is being installed, and at either end, large vertical mixers where we don't have air. New blowers for this process are expected from Finland any day now, and this work sort of goes hand in hand with the new electrical on the new blower. They're very large horsepower, and we need the additional electric capacity to actually support those loads. So this commissioning, the first of 2 aeration tanks will be sequenced, so we have new electrical gear available and ready to serve the blowers. Next slide. This is a cool shot, at least to me, of what used to be two side-by-side chlorine contact tanks. I guess working left to right is our one remaining chlorine contact tank still in service. We're currently in disinfection season using chlorine. Directly adjacent to that is what used to be the second chlorine contact tank, which is currently being converted to UV disinfection. There are two channels there, one for disinfection through light during the disinfection season, and then when we're not required to disinfect, we can bypass that equipment through a standalone channel. That flow will make its way out, continuing further to the right to a new effluent pump station, and depending on plant flows and receiving water conditions, will either be conveying flow out of there by gravity or by pumping, which is that's something completely new for the plant, but does allow the plant to increase its hydraulic capacity by about 20%. I think that, yes, this is just another, I guess, a closer shot, just looking kind of at the ground level of those facilities. Next slide. And I think that we may have to click a few times here, but we can go slowly. New Avenue Ave buildings under construction. So to the left, or closer to Falls Avenue, is the new laboratory building, and to the north, directly adjacent, is the new admin building. We now have structural steel going up that's the goal, which is sort of a common entryway to the two buildings, looking out toward the Yantee River to the east. And then I think just kind of a neat shot of the scaffolding currently at lab, as a lot of the precast stone and brick are starting to be installed by the masonry, so the building will start to look more like a completed building in the coming months. And then I think we just have oh yes, I'm gonna forget the headworks. This shot's taken from the top of our thickened sludge storage tanks. Again, new facility commissioned last October. Looking south toward new headworks, which will have all of our preliminary treatment facilities, of course, and fine screening, grit removal, and then into a pumping up to our upgraded primary tanks. This is a huge complex that's a little over 200 feet in length from end to end, and is going to make life much better for all the operators and mechanics on the plant. And then I think finally we have just our typical look ahead over the next year. So again, hopefully electrical switchgear complex hopefully being energized before Labor Day, as well as the second of two primary settling tanks. Once that electrical gear is available, we'll be able to commission the first of two new aeration tanks. Post disinfection, probably in November, we're hoping to commission UV and effluent pumping, and then continuing into next year, our admin lab headworks. There is other infrastructure that will start coming to light that's not depicted here, but we're now we're 2/3 complete on a sort of percentage basis on both contract schedule and payment to the contractor. But I won't take any questions on that. Yes,
I noticed you guys after the end of the summer.
you can tell me whatever you want to. Yes.
You mentioned that you're 2/3 done capping the landfill. And we have talked in the past, and it was in a strategic plan of NPU to potentially do a solar farm on that northern half or third or whatever it is of the landfill.
Yeah.
Where does that stand?
I know there's a concept plan as part of the upgrade. We're installing, or a portion of it hasn't been installed. We're basically putting in a spare duct bank from, I'll say, A to B, basically to bring the energy from the solar field to our distribution system, whether that's 512 or 614. But that buried pathway for that to happen is being installed as part of the project, and whether NPU decides to pursue that going forward. This is another question. I also know, I think when the landfill is formally closed, we'll be issued a stewardship permit for landfill, we become stewards of the landfill, and I guess we'll have to look at
What happened to the cap? I mean, there used to be a cap. And I mean, I literally, in the seventies, I used to run it, a running track on the top of the landfill.
It was just neglect over years. I
Is that
mean,
right?
We're not allowed to have anything that can grow roots out there, so that's why that grade can't be, Russian olives, and these invasive trees cannot be on that cap, because it gets through the cap material and it starts to grow. And they had trees that were big out there. I was just straight up, I was just, forgot that. Just forgot about it. Oh, wait, what is that top cap? It's an impervious cap, isn't it?
It's just an impervious imported material, and then it's topsoil and seed. It's really pretty simple.
Yeah, we have to maintain the grass at a certain
cross section.
Well, yeah, as long as like solar panels wouldn't, it's not a concrete foundation that goes to the cap, it's literally just, you're held down by.
Just the ballast.
Yes, the balance, sandbags, or concrete block, things just hold the place down. So there's nothing intrusive that would get into the cap. It'd be a pain in the ass to cut all the grass, don't get me wrong, but it's, but if it has a real value, I think it sounds like it does, we'll figure it out, so.
We'll take a look at the time frame of when we're getting close enough to having custody of the property, then we can take a look at it before on. See if that makes sense. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you, Matt. All right, so the last one is going to be the PHMSA project update, and Chris Gold's project manager is on vacation. Barry Ellison is filling in for him out, literally watching the paving as we speak. So Steve Cinco is going to give us a quick update here.
Excellent, please, Simone. All right, if you travel along, North Main Street, Boswell Avenue in the last 2 years, notice the construction going on, replacing the cast iron mains out there. We've just finished last week replacing those mains up to around Manny's area. So that work is done for this phase of the grant. What's next is we're gonna our crews will go and energize that new install line, and then we tie customers over. So there'll still be work going on the road, but it won't be significant. I think there's 30 services. Yeah, there's 30 services left. Currently, what's happening as we're burying right now is we're doing milling and overlay of the Franklin Street, McKinley Avenue area. We said we're gonna leave that for this year. So that's being done. That should be done by sometime next week. After that, they'll come back over here and they'll start at Burnham Square and go right up to around A Street or so. And get that milled and overlaid. And then from there all the way to Manny's, we gotta wait another few months on that because the state wants it to sell. So, it'll be a little rough until then, but in the end, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. Let's see, and that, so that will take us August, September, and that will complete this phase of the. There was a $10 million grant, just to remind everyone. Next slide, please. I think you might have saw pictures, Chris might have showed you these, but along the way, we've encountered buried railroad tracks and trolley tracks. You can see that's all wood fibers sticking out. It was concrete, because this is the military highway, Route 12. Apparently, it's concrete all the way down into Groton, and all the way up to the state line. So, yeah, it was built to last. Yeah. Next slide, please. And then, of course, once we got down to the Boswell area in front of Macateurs, that was a lot of work to just keep the traffic flowing in that area.
yes,
And anyone who's been through that, I went through it a couple times by mistake. But they got it done. They did a good
Very
job.
bicycle friendly though.
Yeah. Oh, they are. They are. Yep. Next, please. The next grant is the fiscal year 23 grant. That's another $10 million that we got awarded. We're gonna be working on the design of that over the summer. We'll be going out to bid in the fall and start construction sometime next spring. And that's East Main Street and Tapple areas. Concentrate mainly in that area. Okay, we just applied for another grant. It's called the FY26 grant application. That's just about $21 million that we applied for, and that's a mix of replacing some of this cast iron and bare steel and unprotected steel mains, as well as replacing a lot of services, and moving meters from inside to outside, because I think by 2040, we have to move 100% of our meters outside. So we're gonna use some of this grant money to do that.
You say waivers for historical districts or any of that?
They don't really look at that kind of
Gary
stuff.
doesn't like it.
Here's safety first, yeah.
I know because in Old Weathersfield, they do that. Or at least for the electrical meters, I know.
I know electric meters, I've seen it done, not for gas meters, however. If we get this grant, that's over $40 million that we would have got this past several years. That's $40 million that our ratepayers didn't have to pay for all this infrastructure. That's required to be done by the regulators. Infrastructure upgrade, so we're looking forward to that. Any questions? Thanks.
So, it takes 3 years from the grant award to get RFQs out there for that. Is there a chance that money gets pulled back?
Well, we were worried about that the first round. This last round did get delayed. It's out there now. We'll see.
And
2023 money is available.
my understanding was that there is a certain political component to it because of the change in administration. A lot of the money was awarded to smaller rural southern cities that might tinge a little more red than blue. So the programs seem to be a little less likely to be impacted. At least that's what Barry had shared with us.
Yeah, Barry did state that some of the money did get pulled and put to other use. But what's left of it, we put a proposal in for the 20 million, so see what happens.
Yeah, they originally had 200 million remaining, now we have 100 million remaining.
That's what it is.
Yeah, for that, but it's one of the few things that appears to be a bipartisan issue because of there's an environmental benefit to it, obviously, by reducing the leaks, and then there's also an energy benefit to it by enhancing the proliferation of gas. So it's to win all the way around. Okay, Sean, are we ready for the next, we're up to actions.
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. So the next one is to schedule the public hearing for the rates. This was, I alluded to the timeline before, but ultimately that would occur in August, per the way we normally do it. And then the board can act on that in August or September. It gives us time for any questions you might have along the way. But what we thought we'd do today is just schedule the public hearing. So it's on the books. And then the July meeting, a lot of times we've canceled that historically. Let's see what we have on the agenda. We can decide that closer to the time.
I don't have no iPhone, so.
Okay, so you need me to make a motion?
Yes, please.
All right, is there a motion to schedule a public hearing for rate setting at the part of August NPU board meeting?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussions?
You
All
know,
those in favor?
Hang on.
What was he, I'm wondering if, that meeting, if the public has any input, would it be better to schedule it at a different time or wait and see if we get any questioning? Can I ask you a question though? In the past, how many people from the public came during, when we had the late hours? How many people came? 1, 2, 3? How many did? 0? And that's going to factor.
And the reporter from the day indicated he was interested in writing about this either just before or as part of the public hearing meeting. It's a possibility there would be a news story in the paper about this in advance, which would be frankly more effective than just the legal notice that we're required to do.
Do we want to maybe schedule, just an idea, maybe we schedule it, and then to your point, I think you were saying if there becomes a level of interest, it looks like possibility, I think that's something we could adjust.
All right, that's it.
Is it to the others? It's just a ball.
Yeah.
So we'll we'll schedule for 1 o'clock now,
Yeah.
be adjusted later as,
Please vote.
I know, but as events, move forward.
Okay, thank you. Fair enough. Now we're ready for a vote, Sean.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussions? Any extensions?
Be opposed.
Okay. All right, so moved. We'll have our rate setting meeting in August.
Opposed. All right, 1 opposed, the motion carries.
We'll just keep it track, those opposed.
Jerry.
See, no.
Okay,
All right, Sean, the motion carried.
Jerry, that brings us to executive session.
This is where you read the spiel.
I think we need a motion first.
I want to make a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
All right, seconded by,
I'll do it.
Jerry, second.
all right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes to go into executive session. Just a reminder, we're in executive session to discuss confidential trade and secret commercial valuable confidential or proprietary information not subject to inspection or public disclosure pursuant to section 1-210, Article 5, and 7-232A of the Connecticut General Statutes. This information is commercially valuable, confidential, and proprietary and is not subject to public disclosure pursuant to Public Act number 98-212 to discuss personal matters of an employee or employees of a public official pursuant to Chapter 14, Section 1-200, Article 6A of the Connecticut General Statutes. We are now in executive session.
All right, great, thank you, and I'll have the senior.
Second.
Second.
Aye. All the, okay.
Opposed? Any abstentions? You're on. All right.